Encapsulation is one of the most important object-oriented principles that exist. The big thing about it is that it allows you to hide your implementation details, which in turn makes your classes decoupled from other classes. So let's go ahead and take a look at some bad encapsulation. So you'll notice here that the width and height variables are both public. This is just a simple class rectangle, and it has two methods on it: getSize and getPerimeter. However, since both width and height are public on this class, that means any other class can access these two variables. So for example, up here when we run it, we can say myShape.width and myShape.height. Now what's bad about that is that it really locks us into a specific way of doing things inside the class. If we want to make a change inside this class on how width is computed, it's going to be very, very difficult because we're going to have to change all of the code that relies on this. So let's take a good look at what good encapsulation looks like. Okay, you can see here that we've got the same class. However, we have a getter for width and a getter for height. We still have getSize, we still have getPerimeter. However, now width is private and height is private. That means the only way that you can get the width and get the height is if you call this method. And so you'll see in this method right here that we have to call getWidth and getHeight. We can no longer just say because that's no longer in scope. Now you might be thinking, okay, big deal. How could a rectangle ever really change? Width and height are both pretty basic elements in calculating the perimeter and size of a rectangle. However, think about this. Think about you made this class and people love it. I mean, they're using it everywhere. People are giving you high fives when you walk down the hall. This class is a really big deal. Now let's say perhaps your business or your company wants to get into TVs and they want to use this rectangle class. They want to optimize it a little bit. In fact, they don't want to store information about the rectangle in width and height anymore. Now they want to store it in diagonal, which presents a major problem for you because if you're doing poor encapsulation, you're not going to be able to store the diagonal. You're going to have to stick with width and height. And it's going to be very, very difficult to change all of the code that depends on this. However, using good encapsulation with things relying on the getters, getHeight, getWidth, we're now able to actually change the internals of this method without the rest of the code knowing. The rest of the code just knows, hey, I still have my getWidth, I still have my getHeight, it's all good. But now we're actually able to use a diagonal for the rectangle, and we're just making the assumption that it is a TV with a ratio of 4:3.